Money boxers, bro.
There you go.
I knew it.
That's
I knew he had something going on. I knew it.
Oh man.
I put pants on because I knew Kyle was going to be on the call, but he just slid in right at 12 o'clock. So I was just.
Hey, Kyle, I didn't see him. Shit, hold up. We'll just start. What's up, guys? Well, welcome. So this is being recorded and this is streaming to Facebook Live right now. If you guys could, maybe you could rename your name to add the city you're in and your handle, so people, you know, this is a pretty wide California audience, so people know where you're from. And, you know, pretty cool to be able to get all you guys today, because in real life, this would probably never happen. You guys would be out on appointments. So, yeah, so we're here today to just really talk about the real estate market in California. And then we had a couple key points, like what are you guys doing to adapt? How are you calming your clients? Where do you see the economy going? And where do you see prices going? Any order, anyone. Maybe you, Kevin, you're in my top left corner.
All right, how's it going, guys? This is live, right? I'm Kevin. Pleasure to be here. Thanks for the invite, Penny. I think with the market right now, I mean, I just looked at all the properties that came active last week compared to 2 weeks ago. I feel like there's a lot more properties coming on the market right now. I mean, regardless, people still need to sell over here. I'm not sure exactly what's going on with San Francisco, but at least for Daly City, I see more properties going live on the market. I see a lot more sellers who are receptive on selling. I mean, regardless, like I said, they still need to sell. With my experience personally, a lot more buyers are reaching out to me because they feel like 2008 is going to happen again. And they feel like, oh, you know, 2008 is going to happen. I can start putting offers on this property for extremely low price. So part of our job, or my job and my team's job, is to educate them and letting them know that that's not really going to happen. But you just got to give them set the right expectation, letting them know that, hey, you can still get a pretty good deal. For example, a 2-story home, typically it goes like between 15 to 30 offers in here, depending, right? With a potential ADU. Right now, we're receiving about 3 to 5 offers for those properties. So there's more opportunities for the buyers. It's kind of in terms of buyer's market and seller's market, it's kind of evening out at this point right now in Peninsula.
Anyone else have some comments to share about their market? Herman, we want to hear from you.
No, I agree with Kevin. So I think there was a really big knee-jerk reaction when COVID hit maybe a month ago, and there was just this hysteria where sellers just took their houses off the market because they didn't know what was going on. And now I think things have kind of calmed down. We're still in the eye of the storm, so we have no idea where it's going to go. But I just think people have gotten used to living in this new world order. Life is still going on. To Kevin's point, life has to go on. People still need to buy, people need to sell for various reasons. And I'm seeing an uptick in inventory. And the buyers who are kind of like circling have started to come back, because I think half of them think they're going to get a deal, and the other half are compelled to buy because, you know, school is starting, divorce, death, whatever it is. I mean, life is so going back to quote unquote normal again, whatever that means. So, you know, I feel a lot more calm now than I was maybe 2 or 3 weeks ago, because I feel like I just think with it, after SIP is over, there's going to be an influx of inventory from the sellers who took their houses off the market, and the buyers who've been waiting. This pent-up demand is going to be hitting once SIP is lifted. So it'll be interesting times to see what happens next month.
Yeah, exactly. I agree.
Jackie, how's your market doing? So Jackie is a broker of eHomes. I think you guys are doing about 300 deals a year, somewhere around that. Maybe you can confirm, because you guys have the Zillow offers count. So what are you guys seeing in the market right now in Chino, LA area? Was it?
Chino, LA. So when I'm a little bit of LA, we're in a really interesting area where we're right in the center of like corridors of Orange County, San Bernardino, LA County. And in our market specifically, people are still buying, people are still selling, but these are the need to move clients that we're helping. We had 40 openings last month. Out of the 33 made it through. So we're still in escrow on 33 of those. I was looking at the market this morning. I wanted to share my screen, but I won't right now, later on maybe. All price reductions. So it's very interesting that I can have one. I don't know if anyone saw the Inman post today. I cried last week. I don't know what you're doing with your screen, Kenny, but I usually do multiple offers, you know, the pre-market, You don't review offers until that following Monday, and then you'll have your multiple offers, right? Expected that for several listings launched last week. It hit on 2. The other 3, however, nope. So a lot of flaky buyers thinking they can get a deal, or the very serious buyers that are looking to move. It's one or the other. It's both sides of the pendulum here.
Yeah, I agree with Jackie. We're seeing the same thing here. You know, you've got buyers that are all in right now, and it's a personal reason for them why they're buying. And then you've got a handful of others that are on the sidelines that want to wait. You know, our approach is that that's the right decision for both sides, right? I think more so than ever, purchasing a home is personal. It's always been personal, but now it's very, very personal. That personal reason is what's really driving the buyers right now.
Yeah, so this is Raj Kasar with the Boutique Real Estate Group in Orange County. And we're kind of that little slice of heaven between Kyle, Jackie, and is anyone in LA here kind of thing. But when this hit beginning of March, we were like, what the? Like, it's like wartime. I mean, I think we were a bit of an early adopter because we shut our office the first week of March. And so immediately we had 20 escrows just back out. People were scared of the market. They were losing their funds. They didn't want to be out and about. They didn't want to risk themselves, their family, or anything like that. But it's definitely settled down a bit, just a bit. So people are getting into the groove of things. And I feel like buyers are coming back onto the offense now, and they're playing some offense. And our listings, we lost a bunch of listings, but we did list some beautiful, like gorgeous homes, but we're not getting the traction and the showings there. We've got videos, virtual tours, everything happening with those listings, but still not a lot of uptake on those listings right now.
And Raj, you're not entry-level market. You're more higher price point, right?
Well, Jackie, we do a little bit of everything, for sure. A little bit of everything. But we do some really nice high-end properties as well.
Every once in a while, he slums it with like a $1.5 million property is what he's saying.
Yeah.
Context to like the people that are talking. So that's your market. You know, my market, I'm in a really good market. I live here and I love where I live, but I'm entry-level price point. So a lot of suburbs, a lot of tract homes in my market.
Yeah, and just for clarification for Kyle and Jackie and everyone else on the call, we'll do anything. Like we have a couple lots in the desert right now that are 250,000. Two custom lots next to each other. So we do have that, but we also just listed one that was 8 million, one that was 3.5 million, and we have one just for Kyle at 1.5 coming up next week. So we do a little bit of everything,
Kyle, what are you seeing in San Diego?
Yes, I mean, in San Diego, the big thing is the high end is all but dead right now, just with a lot of the jumbo lenders pulling out, the non-QM loans pulling out. We're seeing a big hit on the high end, but the median price, the entry level price point stuff still moving. I think those people are less invested into the stock market, so they're not as concerned about the volatility there. They're doing FHA, VA loans, which aren't really affected at all right now. So we're just doubling down on that entry level median price point stuff and shying away from the higher end. And if you're watching this, like if you're running ads on things like Zillow or pay-per-click or whatever the case may be, like make sure you're watching your analytics on that stuff, because I promise you, if you look at it right now over the last 30 days and you've got zip codes like for Raj, if he's running ads in Newport versus if he's running ads in Anaheim, I guarantee you he's getting a much better return on his investment in Anaheim right now than he is in Newport. The lead flow is falling off a cliff on the high end right now. And so if you're running a lot of ads on high end, you might want to take a look at your spend and maybe shift that over to some of the more median price markets.
I love that point of view. But can you guys confirm what banks are still doing jumbos? Because I still think B of A and US Bank are still doing jumbos. Is that confirmed by anyone? Anyone know?
Not sure. All I know is jumbo. I think you can only go up to $1 million now, from what I know. I tried doing it with several clients last week, and they're not allowing it. Personally, I don't know.
Yeah, well, maybe if we have some lenders listening in on Facebook Live, they could drop in the comments on Facebook Live what banks they know are still doing jumbo and non-QM loans. That'd be great to know.
I think Wells Fargo is. I remember we had Michelle Rayo on Monday night Mastermind talking about jumbo But I have Facebook open right now with about 70 people on there and 150 here. I'm gonna be bouncing questions around if I hear Facebook because you guys won't see it over here.
I think Wells Private is still doing it, but I think Wells Retail's out. Wells Private Banking still doing it, but we'll just need someone to confirm.
Kyle, it's you said that about FHA though, because FHA market has been impacted with the overlays that lenders are putting in place and different credit scores that they're now requiring. And we had one fall out because we had a few actually fall out because of that.
That's if you're working with a lender that has overlays. So I would say the key as an agent right now is to talk to all your lenders and find out if they have overlays or not, because FHA and VA don't have those guidelines. Those are just overlays that some of the lenders have put out there. So you should be connecting with your lenders and finding out if they have an overlay, what is their overlay? And if they threw a 640 minimum credit score overlay on top of FHA, maybe there's another lender who's only got a 600 overlay. So you should kind of have a list of lenders that you work with, know what each of their overlays is. So when you have a client come in, you know exactly where to place them.
100%.
Hello.
Great points.
Chris.
Hey guys, I'm Christian Hernandez here at Compass in San Francisco. I'm currently dealing with a Wells Fargo client. We actually went in contract right in the middle of the storm. We made an offer subject to viewing the property and whatnot. Our offer got accepted. We kind of had to go $75,000 above asking price. So we're still seeing a lot of multiple offer situations in our area or some markets. Oh my God. And Wells Fargo requires a minimum of 20% down payment for a jumbo loan. We went in contract at $1,250,000, and but my client has to have a balance sheet with Wells Fargo with a $250,000 minimum average balance. So there's still plenty of buyers out there looking for a deal, and some of the people that still have the ability to purchase a property, they're just gonna looking for the new options and for the better home and whatnot. So we're still seeing a lot of multiple offer situations. I personally deal with a lot of investors, and I will say 90% of my investors, they're still actively buying. They're just readjusting their numbers. Before they had a bigger criteria. Now they're doing a 65% ARV minus construction cost and whatnot. But like, there's still movement out there.
Yeah, we have a jumbo loan going with Bank of the West right now.
Samantha, so you're in Sacramento. Do you want to talk a little bit about your market? And
well, our market's kind of different than yours. I'm not doing a luxury. Anything over 750 would be considered luxury in our area. So I do have a listing in the but 899 that's not even moving, not even having showings. But any of our listings that's active, anything under 500,000, they're still getting offers and getting into contract. I just tell agents that really want to show it, make sure you have gloves on, masks on, sanitizers, and go in with precautions with their clients. And their home inspectors and all the vendors are still working. They're just being very mindful. The realtor stays in their car and, they do their stuff, and, everybody's very cautious. Our market's still moving. I mean, just looking at the 24-hour watch, almost 200 homes came on the market last night within 24 hours. So we're still moving. We're not supposed to be working, but there is sellers that want to sell. I know I have a listing coming up in Roseville. The seller goes, I need to sell my house, or else I'm going to be penalized. I'm going to be losing so much money. But, with the new COVID addendums and stuff, we have to be mindful in telling our sellers. I'm just going to tell her she needs to move into her trailer and leave the house vacant. It'd be easier, because if it's occupied, it's really hard because a lot of agents won't show it, or a lot of buyers don't want to see it if she really wants to see it. So it's being creative and what you can do, asking her, where else can you go to this shelter in place, and leave your house, leave it completely empty, take what you need and just leave it and not be there for the duration of the showing. So, if sellers want to be, it's in a hardship and they need to sell, that's what we need to do. I know I'm getting text messages from my clients' tenants and stuff. Oh, I can't pay rent. I go, what is your profession? You have to fill out this hardship. Oh, the news say we don't have to pay. I go, no, the news doesn't tell you don't have to pay. You have to have a hardship. You know, you don't listen to what the news tell you. If the news tell you to jump over a cliff, you're not going to do that either, right? So, you know, we have to educate our either our sellers or buyers and our tenants that not everything you hear on the news is the truth.
Jordan, how are things going in the South Bay, in the San Jose area? You guys have a pretty high average sales price.
Oh, you're on mute, Jordan.
There we go. Thanks, Kenny, for having me today. I'm located mainly in Santa Clara County here in the Silicon Valley. Yeah, our average price point is a lot higher than the majority of areas. I mean, 1.2 to 1.5 is a very standard entry level 1,000 square foot home here, which is just crazy saying that. But I mean, the beginning of the year was super hot. I mean, multiple listings of mine had 20 to 25 offers on them, selling $300,000 to $400,000 above list price. And then all of a sudden, when this thing hit at the beginning of March and our shelter in place went into effect, things kind of went dead. For example, I had one that I put on the market at 1,288, which was realistically a $1.35 to $1.4 million property going into this thing. It was the last weekend that we were able to have open houses. We went into contract that first week twice with 2 different buyers. Both buyers got cold feet before putting in their EMD. And then my investor told me drop the price $200,000. This was when we were still technically not deemed essential. Regardless of that, there was 15 showings in 24 hours and 11 offers that came in, but still that property ended up selling just over 1.2 when it was a 1.35 to $1.4 million property before this thing struck. I put 3 new listings on the market in the last 5 days between $1 million to 1.5. And I mean, most of them are stagnant, to be honest. I mean, there's some showings that are taking place there, but I mean, stuff's coming on the market, but stuff's not selling as aggressively as it was at the beginning of the year. So I think that if you're primarily a listing agent, at least in my area, you need to set that expectation with sellers that these price points from February and January might not necessarily be realistic, and your pricing strategy today can't be pricing under market value and expecting multiple offers. It needs to be closer to our 2019 market where we price things accordingly, where close to where that expectation of sales price was. But I think that's going to change once our shelter in place gets lifted, in regards to the fact that there's a lot of buyers that are going to have pent up demand. Interest rates will still be relatively low, and so they're just on the sidelines right now. But also you have probably the most motivated buyers in the marketplace too, that are actually out looking at properties during all of this, but they might not be the most aggressive ones that were paying top dollar beforehand. But there's still stuff moving, obviously, but it's not as aggressive as it was at the beginning of the year.
I can speak to some listings. So my team has put 3 on the market so far since shelter in place. We had one in Newark at Bridgepoint Drive last week that's done really, really well. We had maybe 5-6 virtual showings a night on average, where the seller walked them through their properties. And yesterday we received a total of 8 offers. So we sent out offers to the top 3. It's kind of shocking that we were getting that much activity, but I think it's because this property is just miles away from Facebook campus and where Tesla would have been. But we have 2 other more entry-level properties that we brought to market: a condo in Oakland Hills for $500 and a house in East Oakland for about $500. And those, we've only had 2 showings in the last week. So I think it's really, really dependent on the type of inventory. If the type of inventory you bring on the market, there was a lot of it already. It's not, extra special, and I'm not sure it's going to be getting a lot of extra action.
Curious, has anybody here, or how many buyers have you gotten in contract, or have you gotten in contract just off a virtual tour without physically seeing the property? They've written up an offer. Jackie?
Tried that on 2 of our listings, and both of them we needed to actually, but we got an offer after they saw it.
Yeah. just from seeing it, not physically, but virtually?
Did in our private remarks, we put we're at home. This is when we were home essential. We had to put that in our private remarks, not show any homes, only virtual tour, submit subject to interior inspection.
Yeah.
7 days with, so we had to do it.
Nice. Anybody else? We wrote up 2 this week, just from virtual tours. What about you guys down there, Kyle?
I don't really work on the buy side, but a lot of our listings are going pending without ever having a showing scheduled. So it's all pure virtual tour activity. Our MLS is allowing us to put virtual tours in the public remarks, which is kind of nice. So we're seeing a lot of activity on those virtual tour listings because we're obviously running tracking URLs and all of that stuff. So we're seeing the majority of our listings 10 to 20 virtual tour views every single day. So it's nice to track that activity. And then we're using a company called iSpy 360. And what's cool with theirs is while somebody's watching the virtual tour, they can just hit a button and it essentially takes the virtual tour like a Matterport and then combines it with Zoom, and their face pops on the screen, my face pops on the screen, and then we can have an actual conversation with them. And so it's like standing in the living room because we're there, we're talking, the living room's up on the screen, and then we can virtually walk them through the house. So it creates some interactivity and it could just be on demand, which is really cool.
I love that stuff, Kyle. That's so cool. And I think a lot of this stuff is going to carry on for us as we come out of SIP, so to speak. Some of this cool technology that we were like, oh, we'll do it here with the reload buyer because the husband's in New York and the wife's in Texas and they'll be in Orange County next month. But I think a lot of this stuff is going to carry on, and some of this technology is really going to separate a lot of us, how it has been for the last 5 to 10 to 15 years, from like some of the rest of the pack that's not using the technology in their practice.
I just hope it creates less resistance on the consumer part to go this route, to purchase with the store. I want to see that. None of you guys have contact with this virtual store?
I couldn't hear what you said at the end there, Jackie.
My audio. Okay. Yeah.
Yeah, I totally agree. This pandemic is forcing us to think outside of the box and kind of use the tools and technology. Just last weekend, I hosted my first virtual live open house at my new listing in Berkeley. It's a fixer-upper just under $1.3 million. And to be quite honest, I was shocked how many people registered to my virtual tour. What I did on that property, I literally just posted one picture on the MLS and just kind of leave the buyer to force him to engage with me and sign up for my virtual tour. And I even got lucky and was able to pick up a potential buyer. Right away, she emailed me and I got all her info. So I'm gonna start working with her. So I got a lot of activity on that listing. We have not been able to get in contract because it's a fixer-upper, and it was just a lot for people to digest. But I didn't get any pushback on the price. So once again, $1.3 million. I have about 20 disclosure packages out, but the main pushback that I have on that listing was just the amount of work that property needed.
I think what's
has anybody done virtual staging and got in contract, like a listing with virtual staging?
Yes, several times actually.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I did. Actually, here's a little warning for you. Actually, so I took this thing out in Antioch, which is really, really far out in the boonies for me. It's really over there. No shade against them or anything like that. Not my area typically, but it was an investor client of mine who I've known for a long time. So I took it. It was vacant, so she didn't have any budget to stage it. So I hired I think it was Box and they did an amazing job. And then one day I get a call from an agent who, are you hearing some feedback, by the way? Someone's phone or something is, I'm hearing like clicking noises.
Sure, Herman.
Okay. So we did a really great job virtually staging it, but I get a call one day from the agent who says, oh, I'm here at the property, but there's no lockbox. And I had a lockbox in there. I said, well, it's there. Everyone else has been showing it. And she said, well, there's no lockbox, but the door's open, so I'll show it. So she walked in, she showed it, and she texted me back she was gonna write an offer. But I knew something bad had happened because there was no reason for the lockbox to be removed, and there was a combo lockbox that was gone too. So I think what happened was that we had like virtually staged it so beautifully that it was hit. People went in there, broke the lockbox, thinking they're gonna steal all the furniture, and there was nothing there. That happened to me twice. So, I mean, just it's not a warning about staging virtually, but I mean, it can happen. It's crazy times right now. We did sell it though.
What are you guys doing as far as price point? Are you guys still going a little bit under market value, or are you guys going transparent in pricing?
Fairly transparent.
I was thinking about that this morning. I have to change. So I've been trying to stick to it, just under market value. But I honestly think that we can't do that anymore. Not just under, it's going to be at fair market or even just above, because things are going to sit.
Has the appraiser affect you guys at all? Because I had one. I've never had an appraisal come in low. I had one last week that came in $10,000 low, and I'm not sure if the appraiser even went inside. And you know, how do we even rebuttal appraisal that where they're only allowed just to do drive-bys outside, not go inside, and not even giving you the justified value? Has anybody else come across that?
Well, personally, me, I've actually had one appraisal. They barely checked the property. They just went in there for like 30 seconds and they appraised the property like more than what my offer prices are, you know, my client's offer prices, which is really surprising. This is in Daly City.
That's good.
Yeah, so I feel like with appraisal, I think they still check the soil comparisons. They still check the normal carbon monoxide. There's no illegal, you know, like no illegal kitchen. Everything else is, I think it's pretty normal for them still. I mean, I haven't seen any drastic, I mean, for all the properties that got in contract this past 2 weeks, you know, when the lockdown happened in California, I mean, none of them are pretty much closed yet. So we like the significant difference of like the close-up, you know, like what's sold in recently, it's not there yet. So everything the appraisers are basing it off is the ones that sold before the lockdown. So yeah, we're still doing pretty good when it comes to appraisal overall.
Jamie just joined us. Welcome. Jamie, can you hear us?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Cool. Welcome. So Jamie, you're from LA or Beverly Hills or where?
Yeah, so I'm from Los Angeles. I work in Southern California, so all over Los Angeles and Orange counties. And sorry, everyone, that I'm just jumping in. I was just finishing actually property staging. So I just jumped in my car, took off my mask and my gloves and everything and tried to jump on. So I was just trying to listen to the last question, but what question are we on right now?
Pretty open discussion. You want to talk about like how the listings are going in your market, you know,
Yeah.
the values?
Yeah, I mean, in Los Angeles, it's been kind of confusing, honestly. You know, when the stay-at-home order first came out, obviously, in California, it wasn't essential for realtors. And then, why is my camera so blurry? It wasn't essential for realtors at first. And so, you know, our companies basically told us to stop doing showings. And then obviously, a few days later, the governor said it is essential. So, you know, we can do showings with all of these disclosures and whatnot. And then we're like, okay, so there was a few days where we were doing showings. And then a couple days later, the city of Los Angeles mayor actually put out an additional amendment to his order saying that all showings in person for rent and for sale are completely banned. So actually now in the city of LA, even if we get disclosure signs legally, we're not supposed to be doing any showings whatsoever in person. We're doing a lot of obviously virtual tours, a lot of Matterport tours, things like that, and you know, virtual showings via Zoom. I did have like a pretty cool, successful new escrow that I opened recently where we did a Zoom style open house like this, where the seller was in their own home, the seller's agent was at her home, I was at home, my buyer was at home. We all went on Zoom, and then the seller walked us through, and the buyer was able to ask like very detailed questions. Hey, can you open that cabinet? Can I see that scratch on the wall right there? What is that from? You know, we asked very detailed questions over like 30, 40 minutes. And then after that, they liked the home, they made an offer, we accepted it, and we moved forward from there. And then, you know, later on during the transaction, we were able to get the buyers in quickly to see it in person and make sure everything is good. So that's cool. I mean, I think obviously the number of transactions is a lot lower and a lot of people are putting their market listings on hold. But as of now, in LA, we haven't really seen a price drop, I would say. A lot of the, especially the first-time home buyer properties, condos, townhouses, still multiple offers and backup offers and everything. So very competitive still. So I guess we'll have to see, you know, what happens after we get back to work again and back out again. Yeah, so anyone else have any comments or questions or anything like that?
I'm curious about staging. Why not virtual stage?
I think that, well, this property, the owner is still living there partially, so we did a partial with his furniture, you know, partial staging. I think virtual staging is great in some ways, but then when you end up doing the walkthrough tour like via Zoom, it's still unfurnished and it doesn't look good. And so I feel like if you show them these beautiful virtually staged photos on the listing, then when they do the virtual tour on Zoom or come in person later and it's much worse than they saw, I feel like that's not really a good thing. You know what I mean? So that's my only thing against virtual staging. It does have its place, certainly. And if that's the only way you can do it, what I do sometimes when I have vacant properties is I print out like a giant picture of the virtual staging and put it in that room so they can see it. But obviously, like, you know, those are the drawbacks, I think.
Does anybody have experience? You know how we cannot sell properties or show properties that are on the market that's owner occupied? We cannot show it until like May 4th or something, according to Gavin Newsom. Does anybody have experience with, like, what if it's like an off-market property that's not on MLS? It's owner occupied. Seller's like, I need to sell it. You know, like, you know, we're gonna take extra precautions because I just experienced that and I don't know what to do with it.
There are no showings allowed for SIP of the governmental order, so there's no getting around it. So maybe you can just offer them, like, offer subject to inspection or after SIP is lifted. I know there's no other way to handle it. I mean, the law is very clear. There are no in-person showings for owner-occupied or tenant-occupied properties. So just give people an option to write a longer escrow or a longer inspection period or something. I mean, unless I'm wrong.
Yeah.
Yeah, so we're a little different in Orange County, so we don't have that strict of an SIP yet. So we're still able to do that, but all of our lenders are recommending 45 to 60-day escrows right now. So, and with all the new CAR forms that we're dropping in to our contracts, that's also just getting everyone on the same page. And again, all that stuff is it's got like a hold harmless in there. So basically, buyers and sellers can peace out anytime they want if they got symptoms of COVID-19, you know what I mean? So it becomes a little bit difficult, I feel like, on our side. I think our association doing an awesome job, but it does become a point where now you're not just the counselor and the realtor and the therapist and the stager and the photographer and the videographer, and all of a sudden we're 3D experts in everything. Now it's like we're literally becoming like a COVID-19 expert in regards to our industry. So all of this stuff is falling on our shoulders, and it's like almost more than it was before, you know what I mean? And I see some of you smiling at me because I know you're going through the same thing, but it's these conversations that we're having now with our clients are long, exhausting, and the conversation you're having leads to 30 or 40 more questions that we need to follow up and figure out. And I don't know if you guys are feeling the same thing.
I think it's about using our best judgment too, though. Obviously, we need to follow the law. We need to follow the law. But I think there's a gray area that hasn't been touched by the law. So there's a huge area that we need to use our brains for and actually see what we're doing. So something we didn't touch on, CAR form. So everyone's using the PEAD for anyone entering their listings, correct? Yes?
Yes.
Everyone's
Yes.
watching? Because I have agents calling all the time to show and we request that form. And on vacant listings, people that need to move, that we vet really well. So they don't even know the form exists, a lot of agents. So if you're watching, please look into all of the new COVID forms on the CAR website.
A lot of people are asking for the CVS codes. If they don't fill out that form or sign that form for those vacant property, you cannot give them the CVS code to even access to open the lockbox. So I think that's a good security way of getting that form signed before giving them authorization to even go to a vacant listing. That protects you as well, I guess.
You guys want to hear something funny?
Yeah.
Can you tell I don't like silence? So one, Kenny knows this story. We happened to be on a happy hour. And this happened, I almost cried.
All right, we had a question come in from Joe Franzo in Contra Costa. All right, what do you guys think about your marketing? Are you guys doubling down, coming back, about the same?
Are you talking about marketing expense?
Yes.
I took the #1 and #2 spot in Zillow in 94015 zip code. I'm putting it into one now. And we're, blessed that Zillow provided us 50% off, I think nationwide, for all the Zillow people who pay ads with Zillow. So instead of having 2 accounts, we consolidated it into one. So saved like $1,400. With Yelp, I toned it down as well. Mailers, we do about 5,000 mailers per month in Daly City. I paused them all at the moment. Right now, what I'm mainly focusing on is technology. I'm using Property Radar. I'm using MailChimp, learning, watching Kenny's stuff inspired me. I want to do more. MailChimp, slide broadcast is, you guys know what slide broadcast is. If you guys don't, just message me. Property Radar, Agent Legend as well. I'm learning more about that. So everything online related. And mainly, Facebook, shit, it's free. Like Instagram is free, LinkedIn is free. Man, just post stuff in there. Just bring the contents, Yeah, so I lower it down by a lot. I think I saved like 70 to 80% of my costs. Oh, Zillow.
Yeah.
You're wearing a Zillow shirt. Oh, go ahead.
Yeah, I'll chime in on that real quick too. I may be the exception here, but I've actually ramped up all of my marketing and prospecting stuff as far as mail and farming is concerned and non-owner occupieds. I have about 3,000 pieces of mail going out in the mail every week now, comparatively to 1,500 before this thing started. I think that one of my big reasons behind that is that there's still going to be people selling property, and maybe if a financial crisis has happened to some of these people and they own investment properties, the investment properties might be the first thing that they offload. So you want to be able to put yourself in front of as many people and collect these leads during this time period. And then, because my thought is that the real estate market is going to be very strong with buyers and sellers once this shelter in place is lifted. So if I'm not ramping up my marketing or doing what I'm doing already on a consistent basis, then I've taken a step back once we get to new normal, because people forget your name so quickly, right? And so all of my farming stuff, everybody gets hit every 2 weeks, and between flyer drops and mailing, it ends up being about 10,000 homes every 2 weeks. Obviously got to be a little more mellow on flyer drops right now, but that just changes to mail instead. So, I've ramped everything up with the expectation of filling a bigger pipeline so that everything is ready to go once the shelter in places get lifted and the new normal comes back to light.
Jordan, what's your messaging look like on those pieces?
So I've stuck mainly to a lot of just the market update and included stuff about if you're curious about how COVID-19 has affected the real estate market, feel free to let me know. A lot of owner-occupied stuff around here. I know that our nurses and healthcare workers in the hospitals have started this drive where they pick up PPE supplies from people's houses. So I put that flyer on my flyer as well, just advertising that, hey, our healthcare workers and nurses need these protective items. If you guys have any, they'll come and pick it up from your door via this email address. So I think providing something of value there goes a long way as well, so that it's not directly just your marketing piece. But I mean, there's only so many of those flyers that you can send out, but also like I put one with a bunch of small businesses that are still open for takeout. And so there's still that market update piece. And then obviously all the mailing around my listings and pendings and coming soons. But farming is more focused towards, let's see if I can try and support these small businesses and support our healthcare workers. And then it's at least a more positive message being put in front of these consumers, like you're involved in the community, than it is, hey, let's list your house right now, right?
How are you guys, Jackie? Are you guys doubling down? I mean, you guys are big Zillow people. I think so is Kyle, myself, maybe Jeremy. What are you guys doing with your Zillow spend?
Double down on effort. Your expenses don't have to increase. If anything, your expenses right now should be decreasing, but double down on your effort. So right now, really connecting with people, cleaning up your database, make sure you're touching people, providing value in really inexpensive ways. Definitely no paper here. We're all digital. We've always been that way, but especially now, I was just thinking, like, you don't know who's delivering that piece of paper. You don't know if the person on the other side of that door receiving it is at risk, a high risk. So right now, I caution against that. But yeah, just remaining digital and doubling down on efforts more than expense.
That's
super easy that no one's really talking about. Sorry, Herman. I'll do this one real quick, but just community groups on Facebook. I mean, we're managing a group. It's got 3,500 people in it. The engagement's been literally through the roof. I mean, people are just so online right now. And some of these community groups maybe that we started years ago and really didn't engage in, those are really coming back to life and being a great place to connect with people, and super, especially if you're providing value and it's not hearsay, not rumors about these are the symptoms, this is what's happening, all that kind of stuff, but more so, how can I help? Who needs help? Can I go shopping for someone? What can I get someone? Can I drop, like we bought a 25-pound bag of flour the other day because there's like a flour shortage in Orange County. And half my neighbors needed flour because everyone's at home and they're baking, right? So I just went around, sealed up little baggies of flour and dropped them off on doorsteps in our neighborhood. So I think things like that are great to revisit again and just jump all in.
Yeah, totally. I think I've kind of like reduced some of the spending, not purposely, but because I've had to. Like, I spent a lot of money on postcards and mailers as well, but our company actually has our own print shop, and the city of Beverly Hills shut down the print shop because they said it's not essential, and they won't allow us to do any more marketing mailings because they said like it's not like marketing through USPS right now. They deemed it as unnecessary, so they shut us down, and we're not allowed to do that anymore. We also are no longer allowed to do LA Times ads. I don't know why, but they shut that down for now as well. So we're just trying to do a lot more, like Jackie said, like in-person, personal things. So like one thing that my broker challenges all to do is go in your phone and text everyone in your entire contact list. See how many leads or like deals that you have lined up from just that, just talking to your past clients. Everyone's thinking about possibly listing or possibly buying soon. So just make sure you're at the top of their mind and reach out. You have time right now. So just say hi to everyone. Hey, how are you doing? Hope you're staying safe. That's it. I did that to probably like 100 people on Monday, and I was busy until like midnight that night responding to everyone. I mean, it was crazy. So I encourage everyone to do that because I think that's, what you got to do right now.
Yeah, I agree with Jamie 100%. And plus, I mean, right now people are more receptive than they've ever been, right? They want to respond. They want that connection. And for us, that's what we're doubling down on, is just keeping that rapport, building that pipeline, checking in, not even mentioning real estate. Like Raj said, just checking in with people, seeing how they're doing with this, if there's anything we can help them with. And, they'll mention real estate at the end of the conversation, but I think the number one thing that is a big takeaway from this today is going to be building rapport and reaching out to people.
I'm a little different. I don't do any Zillow or Yelp or mailers or flyers. And so for me, I don't really have a budget, but what I am doing is I'm using this time to kind of reevaluate myself. Like, since I'm stuck at home, if there's any time to rebrand myself, this is the time. Because I have the time now to reassess like my past business, how I want to represent myself once we emerge from this whole COVID mess. So I'm using personally, because I know people are watching this out there who don't, because you guys are like top of the creme of the creme. Most people don't have the budgets for the Zillow ad. It's like really, I would say for the average agent out there, use this time to like rebrand yourself so that when you emerge, you're stronger and you have a more presented, well-polished image. I mean, that's my tip.
So I have something to share that. So for me personally, I have not cut back on any marketing, but I've been probably quadrupling my efforts. You guys can see, I mean, I put on 3 webinars this week already. I'm literally just trying to put as many of these together as possible. So we have 6 events. I'm really just gathering people first and then throwing them in the right box. So like Monday, we have a tech talk. I'm having kind of like doing like an admin, new kid on the block, startup alley thing. And on the 17th, we have some really great people speaking with us, like Daniel Winkler, Hilda Ramirez, Belfort, just like, so I'm really just picking, just trying to set up at least 1 webinar a day to get back to my community. Because me, a lot of my business is agent to agent. You know, I've recruited 4 agents during this last couple of weeks without even actually trying. So I'm just constantly trying to bring myself out of this crisis. As you know, I do social media a lot, but it's kind of like secret. I just do Instagram. But now, like, I'm able to use this big platform to share what we know. Huge shout out to Kyle last week for putting me in the Be Different Mastermind. That thing got like thousands and thousands of views. So after that, I picked up like 200 or 300 followers on Instagram within the day. So I'm trying to now be a platform and be a source to help other people grow their businesses. Like yesterday, we had who was it? Jerry Beverly, Crystal, Florida, had their first presentation, their webinar ever. And then tomorrow at 5 p.m. Wait, no, actually tonight. Is it tonight? No, tomorrow at 5 p.m. at night, Katie Day at Cool Banker, Franco Perez in Silicon Valley, and Kenneth are going to all be teaching agents how to do and start video marketing. So like, I've never seen any of them presented before. They're really good at what to do, but they've never been showcased. So I'm using my time to bring this, what I'm doing right now, to other people, and hopefully this becomes the norm.
Thank you, Kenny.
You're welcome.
I'll share a little bit about marketing. Hi, everybody. I'm Elmer Morales with eHomes. I'm going to go touch a little bit on what Herman was talking about earlier. We've taken a lot of this time to clean up our marketing. So for like a lot of the team brokerages, maybe they have some automated text campaigns, email campaigns. A lot of the times we set those and we forget about them. So we've taken, we've kind of taken the time to go back, visit our text drip campaigns, added video, really clean those up, jump into our email drip campaigns, modified them, and then also 10x them. Made sure that we were delivering the messages that we intended to deliver when we originally started with those drip campaigns. So Herman, that for the agent that maybe is maybe only doing 10 transactions a year or 20 transactions or 30, whatever it might be. You want to go back, revisit all those campaigns that you have off of your CRM. And then not only that, you also want to take the time to go on Google and maybe Google your team name, Google your own personal name as a real estate agent, see what material comes up, and make sure that it's what you want the consumer to see. So if you're not getting, if maybe it's photos of family vacations, things like that, then you got to start working on, and Kenny might know a little bit more about this, but posting more informational real estate based materials so that stuff comes up instead of maybe some of your visits out to the bar or whatever it might be.
These are all free things you guys can do.
Yeah.
You don't have to spend more right now. You can help people, and the more that you help people right now, the more that's going to help you after this is over.
Let's talk prices. Where, I mean, coming out of this, where do you see prices at in your market in the next 30 days and in the next 90, and then, you know, and then 6 months from then?
So, well, I guess that's the crystal ball. Right? That's the crystal ball question. I mean, I really don't know. I think if a vaccine comes out sooner than later, I think the market's going to pop. It's going to be freaking wicked, and prices are going to keep going up. And I think everything's really on this vaccine. And if these meds that they're talking about are really going to work, and if testing gets out there, I don't know. What do you guys think?
Can we all boldly, each one of us, give an opinion right now? Like, no judgment, give an opinion. It could be wacky, it could be, it won't happen. Like, let's all give an opinion right now.
I love to get an opinion right now.
I feel
About prices?
Prices.
I feel like it, I mean, I feel like my opinion is changing every day. So if you asked me last week, it would be a completely different answer than this week. Like, last week I was really pessimistic about it, and I thought it was going to go down a lot, like 30-50%. Like, I was really sad about it. And this week, like, I'm a lot more hopeful. I don't think it's going to go down as much, but I think it's greatly going to depend on whether or not this stimulus package and everything is, and this Wall Street rebound is real, or if it's not, right? If it's just a fake rebound and it's going to bottom again, then how long is it going to take for us to come out of it? So, but I feel confident that I don't think it'll get hit as hard as last time, because, you know, this isn't a real estate recession. This is a pandemic. And I also, though, I feel like there's going to be a lot of disparity between the different higher income and lower income neighborhoods. I feel that, like, the higher income neighborhoods, a lot of these people have white collar jobs that are able to work from home, and, you know, they're probably not going to lose their homes. But in the lower income neighborhoods where people are working at restaurants, coffee shops, movie theaters, they're all furloughed, you know, they're struggling. There's going to be foreclosures for sure, and I think those areas are going to get hit really hard. And then, like, you know, Beverly Hills might not be hit as hard, obviously. So, I mean, it really depends on the area, I think.
I'll give an opinion on market too. So I think it's going to be based on area for sure. So Southern California, we're in SoCal. So Southern California, going into this COVID-19, there was a huge housing shortage. So there weren't enough homes being built to keep up with the amount of people that were moving in. So that, I think that regardless of when we come out of COVID, it'll still be the case. There's still going to be a shortage. But the thing that none of us can, I think, kind of guess on is what the economy, the job loss, right? So you have 6.6 million people that are dealing with, that have filed for unemployment. That's definitely going to affect the economy. So that's going to be an issue, I think, in areas where people were maybe retiring into, or communities where people were buying second homes. So those areas, those communities are going to be impacted as far as home sales drastically. Home values are going to be impacted drastically. Unemployment is obviously an indicator for how the housing market's going to do. But in Southern California, we have a shortage. Even when we come out of this, we're going to have a shortage. So sales prices aren't going to be impacted as much here in California. And we know California is a bit of a different market than the rest of the country. But in areas like Texas, Arizona, Las Vegas, where people were buying second homes, or they were just moving out to retire, and now the retirement because of COVID-19 has been impacted by the stock market, then those moves are no longer going to take place, and those markets are going to be impacted a lot more than we would here in SoCal.
I was going to be a kindergarten teacher, so I totally drew an example for you guys, like a kindergarten teacher. Here you go. Can you see it? So pre-COVID spring market, it's going up. We have the most amazing market ever. And then we go down a little bit. Post-COVID, we're going to slam back up, and then it'll be steady.
Yeah.
That's my
I do think that when we recover, it's going to be better than ever. And but I do think that areas in Southern California, like for example, I'm thinking like the areas that have been gentrifying a lot in the last few years, like even in South LA, Inglewood, near the stadium, where there's been all these new like young people investing in new cafes, restaurants. They're gonna get hit really hard. I mean, and then I just feel like all the wealthy people are going to come in and swoop up all the investment property. It's going to create a huge disparity, even worse than before.
Do you think
that's great? Go on, sorry.
Like disposable income, you know, like when we come back out of COVID, do you think people will be more cautious about what they're spending on? Because I mean, I'm sure like even the people that are doing okay or could be doing better, like where do you see like fine dining and yeah, maybe Herman can talk about that.
Well, I think what Jamie was saying and what you're kind of saying is like segmentation is going to be the new theme. Segmentation. And so it's going to be very difficult to paint broad strokes across any type of real estate trend, even in terms of like socialization and fine dining. And like you said, it's really a function of how secure your job is and where you live. And where we are in the Bay Area, I mean, to the earlier point, like even irrespective of the 6 million people who are unemployed, people still want to, there's just not enough housing at all to go across the board. So, I mean, I'm not that worried, frankly, locally, but in other parts of the country, to Jamie's point, I mean, it is going to be a struggle, and I don't know how we're going to emerge from that. I mean, I just think that Jamie's right in that I think the disparity between have and have-nots will widen, but that's just been the theme of, hey, go capitalism. That's, you know, I don't know what else is new. I'm not expecting anything different, but I think that it really is going to be the reality of the situation. So, yeah.
Yeah,
I feel like, go ahead.
I think that in the heart of Silicon Valley over the next 30 to 60 days, like we might see a little lull in pricing until we're back to when we can host open houses. And like I said earlier, in my opinion, there's a lot of buyers on the sidelines because from those multiple offer situations before the shelter in place took place, all of those people have not purchased property yet, right? And I think that at least I haven't personally seen it talking to the majority of my clients who are the ones that are purchasing these astronomically priced houses, that they're facing layoffs. So many of them are just working from home and adjusting accordingly while working at Google or Facebook or LinkedIn. And those are the people that can afford to purchase homes here in the Silicon Valley. Yes, I mean, it's hitting the lower to middle class who has those restaurant jobs and those are the unemployment claims that I've heard about at this point. But I think that once we do get back to that new normal, that it, like everyone has been saying, it's an inventory issue, right? At least to begin 2020, I mean, in Santa Clara County, we were half the inventory that we ran at the majority of 2019. So, I mean, it's all supply and demand in regards to where things go pricing. If there's a ton of inventory that was going to come on at the spring that's then delayed until after the shelter in place gets lifted, then maybe we don't see that increase in prices as quickly. But I do believe that we'll rebound out of this better than when we went into this if we're going to continue the trends. And I don't see the economical impacts taking as big of a hit here in the main part of the Silicon Valley as other places in the country, like some of you are referring to.
However, I would like to say I think it really, really depends on how long we have to stay at home. If we're staying at home for 1 or 2 months, like I said, these white collar jobs, they can work from home. But eventually, if we have to stay at home for 6 months, 8 months, the work's going to dry up, and companies that otherwise haven't had to furlough employees are going to have to. And then that's going to have a much more devastating impact on the economy. So really it depends on when we can get back to work, you know?
I think if we're staying home more than 3 months, I think the economy is going to be in trouble. And I don't think the government is planning on us staying home for more than 3 months. They're not going to dump $2.2 trillion into the economy and plan on us staying home for 3 months. I just don't see it happen. I think at the end of the day, when we come out of this, COVID is still going to be out there. We're all still going to have to be wearing masks, carrying around hand sanitizer. That's just going to be part of everyday life for the next 12 months. So, you know, it's not like we're going to come out of this, it's all going to be fixed. We're going to be out of this. This is an opinion, of course. I think we come out of this mid to end of May. with huge restrictions still in place, but the economy has to, we have to have participation, obviously, from all of us for the economy to bounce back. We can't, it's not going to sustain more than 90 days. We're going to be in trouble after that, I think.
You guys think the elections, so what I've seen, I mean, I've been in election years, real estate gets pretty quiet around like October and November. People are just hesitant. I don't think elections actually has any long-term impact on prices, but people just want to hold off. With now this squeeze in the market where we only can shop for June, July, August, September, do you think people will still actually be active during the election period?
Yes.
Yes.
I think people are checked out of the election. That's a non-story right now. I mean, there's only one story right now, and that's COVID, Corona, you know? So I don't know. I don't think it's going to matter very much. I think people are just checked out on that.
I think with all these COVID shelter in place, Sacramento is going to be, I think we're going to be busier than ever. A lot of people from the Bay Area or Southern California, even from Seattle, I'm getting phone calls from buyers that's interested in buying because we're still very affordable right now. So I tell my team, gear up because you're going to be getting busy after this shelter in place is up. So that's one of the advantages we have right now in the Sacramento, Placer, El Dorado counties. We have almost 1,500 homes right now for sale, and only a handful of them are pending. So a lot of people can't show. So there's more that's been on hold or inactive right now. But as soon as this shelter in place is lifted, I think Sacramento, Tri-County over here in Northern California on this side, we're going to be very busy, even with a lot of buyers are taking advantage of the low interest rates. So listening to all you guys, I'm thinking bigger here in this area. So thank you for everybody's input.
What we were talking about, sadly, everyone that loses their job, if they're not able to make their mortgage payment, there's going to be a lot of sellers, and there's going to be equity sales. Prices are not going to go down because people are losing their jobs.
Even before the shelter in place, I saw all these Asian restaurants were all being empty. People were afraid to go eat in all these Asian restaurants, from dim sum to all these little mom and pop shops. They're all empty, and I feel so bad for them. All the owners, like, we have $30,000 in rent and no one's coming in. You know, you're going to rush hour. Before it was at a line out the door and there's no one going in there. Back in March and early February, this is already happening. And now with all of this, they're all just shut down because why even open if no one's going to come eat in their establishment? That's really, really sad. It's like why I'm promoting more of all these restaurants in the neighborhood that's open. We need to go out and support them. You know, buying takeouts, they're all taking precautions at the door. They give you your order. They're not, you know, they're taking precautions. So, you know, if you guys see a mom and pop stuff, try to support them. I mean, I'm doing my share by buying masks and donating to the healthcare, but we can buy food from some of these mom and pops and donate it as well to these healthcare workers or firefighters that's actually putting their lives on the lines. I think that's something that we can still do and be in the community and giving back.
Yeah, the things that I think we need to really be focused on right now is you have to watch what's happening with your inventory. There's plenty of homes that are hitting the market right now, but if you look at the number of listings that are going pending versus the number that are going active, it's a huge disparity right now.
Yeah.
So what that's doing is that's creating a growth in inventory. The other thing you got to look at is that the number of expired, canceled, or whatever people are calling it in your market, that number is huge right now. There's a lot of listings that are getting pulled off the market. So what's happening right now is that you're seeing inventory grow, plus there's what we'll just call shadow inventory, that is all these people who are pulling their home off the market temporarily until this passes, and then those are all going to flood the market as well. So while there might be pent-up demand, there's also pent-up supply that we need to be cautious of. And then the other thing we have to be cautious of is forbearance, because the banks are completely fucking people right now. All of my banks have a ton of different mortgages. Every bank SNAP approved forbearances for me, and they're doing that for everybody. You can just call them like, hey, I'm affected by COVID. Cool, you're approved for forbearance. But the majority of the forbearances that are being approved right now are 3-month forbearances. You don't have to make a mortgage payment for 3 months, but in month 4, you're making a quadruple mortgage payment. Maybe I'm prepared for that. I understand that, but 95% of people do not understand what they're agreeing to. And in 4 months from now, they're all effed because they're going to get hit with this massive bill from their mortgage company. They're like, what do I do? Like, I can't pay you 4 months. If I couldn't pay you 1 month, 4 months ago, I can't pay you 4 months today. So I think we need to be paying a lot of attention to that, and we need to be educating people in our area to make sure when they talk to their mortgage company, don't agree to that. Push the mortgage company to actually put those payments at the back end of the mortgage, not in 3 months from now, to be stuck with a quadruple payment. Because if I don't have the money and 4 months from now, my bank's like, oh, those $3 $2,500 payments you missed, we need all of those plus this month, we need 10 grand now. I don't have it. I'm gonna be like, all right, well, I guess I gotta put my house on the market and sell it because I can't afford it and I don't want to get foreclosed on. So we need to be paying attention to that. And really our job is to educate people in our markets of this because they don't know what they're agreeing to right now.
One thing that I do with my clients, because like I mentioned earlier, a lot of buyers are reaching out to me, friends, family, sphere of influence, previous clients are reaching out to me saying like, hey, we're ready to buy soon, we're ready to buy, first-time home buyers. What I usually tell them is, I usually educate them, letting them know what really happened in 2006 to 2008, how the market crashed. It was mainly the mortgage crash, You know how back then, like, as long as you can walk, you can pretty much get a loan, There's no income verification back then. But now, starting 2009 and going up till, right now before COVID, or during COVID still, like, they have to check your blood type now. They have to check W-2, years of W-2. They have to check everything, And I personally think with the market, I usually let them know, like, it's not going to crash the way what happened before, I mean, even though we're dealing with buyers, it's so unpredictable what's going to happen. Nobody has that crystal ball. I usually just let them know, I really don't think it's going to crash. Like, based on you state the facts why the market crashed 2006 to 2008. I just emphasize that all the time. And rates are low right now. I think FHA loan was like, I think yesterday I found out it was like 3.15 or something, 3.2%. That's extremely low. Like, good for first-time home buyers. But
I agree with Kevin. Oh, sorry.
Good.
I agree with Kevin. The 2008 housing crisis was triggered by predatory private mortgage lending and on regular markets. No income, no assets, negative amortization loans. I mean, there was 110% financing options. And like Kevin was saying, is if you can walk, you can get a loan. Today's market, even during this pandemic, there's a couple of factors fueling our local markets, such as historically low rates and the lack of inventory. I do see some lenders taking some necessary actions to ensure that we sustain a healthy market. And some of these lenders now require like at least 20% down payment. And as I mentioned before, Wells Fargo needs about $250,000 balance sheet. So I think that's gonna help us out to get out of this this pandemic and keep our market super healthy. What do you guys think?
I agree. And even with forbearance right now, I mean, with my investment properties in my property, I mean, they pretty much allow, any bank will allow forbearance, right? But after 3 months, it will be a balloon payment. You have to pay all of it. But I confirmed it, letting them know that, hey, you can do a deferment now or something like that after the 3 months. Correct me if I'm wrong on that one, but I've never experienced a market like this. I've been in business for 4 years full time, so I've never seen a crash. But I think after forbearance, it's going to be you can apply for a deferment after that, where they back up your 30-year fix and pay escrow.
Every bank is different, Kevin. So you'd have to reach out to your client's banker. Your client would have to reach
Got it.
I think the market, the hit that we're going to see won't happen until 12 months from now. Even people that are applying for forbearances, let's say they get approved, a foreclosure takes 9 months for it to develop. So we're not going to see foreclosure. If there's any sort of foreclosures from any of this, we're not going to see it till 12 months from now, right? And then mortgages aren't going to stay at 3% forever. Like, we've been talking interest rates going up. So right now, the government had to drop rates. They had to dump money into the bond market to make sure rates drop, to create some sort of movement in the markets, refinances, whatever it is, right? So that's all happened, but rates can't stay at this rate. So the combination, I think 12 months from now, a combination of some foreclosures, a combination of interest rates having to climb back up, and then unfortunately the combination of the job losses, unemployment rates still maintaining itself at a high level because it's not going to drop instantly. I think a combination of those three things towards the end of next year is what's going to finally hit our market. And that's where we're going to see a price adjustment. Like we've all known a price adjustment is due. It's due every 10 to 12 years. It's just cyclical. So we're like well overdue. So I think that's what's going to hit the market towards the end of next year. And then we might see like a 10, 15% market adjustment across the country at that point. But it's going to have to be a combination of things. It's not going to just be COVID knocking us down. It's not. We're past that. So we'll see it when we come out of it, but it'll be gradual when we get towards the end of next year.
All right, we're right a little past the hour mark. Any last statements, comments before we wrap up?
For me, diamonds are made under pressure. If there's no pressure, there's no diamonds. I would focus on productivity over results right now. Double up on calls, quadruple down on compassion. Yeah, that's my statement.
I love the compassion part, Kevin.
Thank you.
My overall intake, just kind of looking at the bright side, I think we should treasure this shelter in place. Never in history we will have the time or the luxury of having the time to like unwind, to educate ourselves, to rebrand ourselves, to learn something new, and to really connect with our clients and our sphere of influence. Most importantly, the time to really enjoy our family and loved ones. This is the time to be more aggressive and to get out of your comfort zone and be the source for your clients. And that's my 2 cents.
Yeah, I mean, I just want to chime in real quick to end that. I think right now more than ever, it's very important to set realistic expectations with whoever you're working with, whether that's a buyer or a seller, and setting that up, and then go like was said, go show compassion and do things in the community that will benefit everyone. Like I have clients that own a small Italian restaurant, and so the other night, like I texted the 20 neighbors that live by me and got their orders and went and placed like a $600 order and dropped off dinner to everyone's houses. Like there's no real estate involved in that, right? But people are going to appreciate that those small businesses supported you at some point, and now it's time to give back to them. So, and then tap into your sphere of influence, just, and nothing real estate related, just, hey, hope you're doing well, staying safe and healthy. If you need anything from the grocery store or anything like that, feel free to let me know. And I think those things will end up having a much bigger impact than anything else that you can do at this moment. So hope everyone's staying safe and staying healthy and adapting to what seems to be a new normal for at least the time being.
Thank you, Jordan. I so agree with that. I tell my team, if you're starting out, take advantage of your local association. They're offering all these free online training right now, where before you have to pay for to come into the local association to even take the class. So they're offering for free right now. Even NIR, CIR has classes. Take advantage of that for all the newer agents and team members that have nothing to do. Get some destination, something behind you, all these free training, certification. Now it's the time that you can actually have time. You make time and just take advantage of it.
Yeah, love that. Hey, Kenny, thanks so much for putting this together. I think this is a great time for us to use the time and wrap your arms around your team, your company, your brokerage, and keeping that culture super tight with everyone involved and making sure that your agents have their arms around their clients. And you don't have to be a realtor every second of the day. This is a great time to, like one of you guys said, I think Kevin said it, show some compassion, be there for the people in your community and really love on them. So, and then besides that, your back end, your technology, all your email drips, your text drips, that's a great time to refresh all of that. Like Herman said, a great time to rebrand or refresh if you need to do that. You've got the time to do that. Maybe double down on not just marketing, but some design stuff as well to make sure your brand, your logo, whatever it is, pops as soon as we come out of this.
Yeah, your business operation is absolutely has to come out 10 times better than you went into this. Like if you don't, then it's because you took that as a time to vacation and not work on your business. You absolutely have to come out of this better than you went into this.
Devil's advocate.
Thank you.
care.
Thank you, Kenny.
Thank you so much
for joining us all today. I'll get this recording up, and again, we have a stack. I'm trying to put one a day, so just stay tuned. All right, guys.
Sure.
Thank you.
Thanks, everybody.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you.
All right.